So, am I a Canon hater? Why won't I hate Canon? Why will I hate Canon? Those are the important questions here. Why shouldn't I love Canon? Why should I love Canon? Those are the important questions. Let me tell you a couple of things. I have been using Nikon for a long time. I have also been using Sony for a long time, Fuji for a long time. But my primary system is Nikon. And for some time, I have been thinking to get into Canon because there were a few things that I liked in the Canon system. Primarily the color. Primarily the color. Um, Also, some Canon lenses really made sense to me because, for example, the 35 1.8 has that half macro capability. I think the 85 f2 also has that macro capability, and I was interested in them. Over the years, I wanted to get into the Canon system. When I review Nikon cameras, Nikon systems, lenses, and everything around Nikon, I've always heard people complain how Nikon does not match up to Sony and then Canon. So I also wanted to test it out for myself. So I have used Canon cameras, the R5, the R6, R6 II, R5 II. I've used the R10. Yeah, I've used so many Canon cameras, so many of the top end lenses, the 135, the 85, the 50, all of the 1.2s, the 35 1.8, 50 1.8, and the 85 1.8. I have used their 24 to 105. The conclusion is that every time I wanted to buy into Canon, put my own money in it, in the system, I always found a roadblock. I always found something or the other holding that decision back. I never could really fully say to myself, yes, I should go for the system because it makes sense to me. Currently, I'm considering should I get into Lumix because they seem to be doing a few things very, very right. I found it within me to say yes to Fuji. I found it within me to say yes to Sony. I have the Sony A7 IV. I've been using it for almost 4 years. And I've gotten, I think right now, 5, 6 different Sony lenses. Right. Well, I mean, at least Sony mount lenses. I have the Fuji system. The Fuji's right now not with me, the X-T3, X-T5. I started with the X-T3. I had the XC4. Right now I have the X-T5. And I have, I think, 10 or 11 lenses for the Fuji X mount from different brands. My favorite is the 33 1.4. So it made sense for me because I spend time on YouTube. I like doing this. And I want to give you an honest opinion on whatever gear I'm using. If I genuinely see Nikon is falling behind in something, or they are behind on something, or they're naggingly irritating in some area or the other, I'm definitely going to look at another brand and see whether that other brand gives me a better performance, better experience or not. And I'm definitely going to talk about it. I have done that in the past. There are people who have come in and said, oh, I expect too much from Nikon. But every time, I still found many good things in Nikon, therefore I'm using the Nikon system. I have the ZF, the Z6 III, the Z8. In our team, we have the Z5, another Z6 III. Someone is thinking that we'll probably go for the ZR as well within the team. But every time we thought about Canon, we couldn't. It just didn't make sense. Why? Let me take you through the decision-making process in the last few years. For example, the Canon R6. I thought the ergonomics of the Canon R6 is really off. And if I'm not wrong, it was 20 megapixels. Was it a particularly affordable camera? No, it wasn't. Was the autofocus good? Back then for the competition, the autofocus was quite good. But it wasn't the best. There was a time when the Canon R6 coincided with the A7 IV. The A7 IV was way ahead. So at that point, I decided to go for the A7 IV. I could not justify buying the Canon R6. The R5 was expensive. And the R5 was overheating. It was pitched as a cinema camera, video filmmaking camera, but it was really a better photo camera than it was a video camera. All the 8K conversation, the amount of fanboyism. Look, you know what? I think it's fine when you're being a fanboy and you're celebrating what's great about a system. When you're being a fanboy and celebrating when there's so much to not like, then that's a problem. Love can be good, love can be bad, right? I found that the enthusiasm with the Canon ecosystem doesn't allow Canon to be more responsible. They don't feel the need to be more responsible, to provide more value to you. I've used the R5 too, along with the Z8 and the Z9. I found the R5, not the R5 to the R5. I didn't find the R5 to be that good, especially in video. The autofocus is good, but it was finicky. Now, the photo files are really good. The dynamic range was great. The colors are fantastic. That's how Canon is. But using that system was not very ergonomically nice. How the buttons are placed and everything. For a hybrid shooting experience, it wasn't nice. The Canon R6 II happened. At that point, I thought, okay, should I go for the Canon R6 II? Or because I think the Z6 III wasn't yet out, and I really wanted. I was happy with the Sony A7 IV, but my problem with the Sony A7 IV was that on the skin tone channel, when it moves from magenta tone to the green tone and all that, I find the Sony files don't have as much flexibility. So I wanted to get into the R6 II, but then it doesn't have C-Log 2, it has C-Log 3, which does not have great dynamic range. The 24 megapixel sensor for photo was just about okay. I would compare it with this Nikon Z6 III sensor, but then the Nikon Z6 III sensor is so fast, it can do so much more. The Canon R6 II sensor wasn't that fast, but it still doesn't have that amount of dynamic range. So I could not justify. Also, it was a very expensive camera. When the R6 II was launched, it was at $2,500 US. It didn't make sense to me. It did not make sense to me. Then came the Canon R5 II. A fantastic camera, but I own the Z8. Again, it does not do anything better than the Z8. The highest bitrate files in RAW, the Z8 is better. It can do 8K 60. Do I need 8K 60? No, but then understand, when it does 8K 60, the Z8 can actually give you a much better 4K 60 file. The Canon can't. It doesn't. All right, you have very good 4K 30 files, but the 4K 60 files are just not as good. Over a period of time, Canon haven't provided so much, let's say, capability addition via firmware that Nikon has done. The Z3 just recently got it hasn't been released yet, but it's recently going to get its firmware version 3. Depends on when you're seeing this video, but yeah, when I'm recording this video, the firmware version 3 is not out yet. It's supposed to come out during 1st July or around that time. It's tremendous what Nikon is doing every time they push out a firmware for the XP7 cameras. And when I look to the R5 II and I look at in my local market, the price, it's about more than $1,000 US on top of the price for the Z8. It does not make any sense to me. Okay, let's look at lenses. I have invested in quite a lot of premium glass for Nikon, and also now I'm looking into the Sony system, and I'm looking at a lot of new Sigma glass. Well, I can't get third-party grade glass for Canon, and whatever new things Canon is launching, those lenses have this L series lenses have so much distortion all around the edges. The files are all bent. Again, it doesn't make sense. Why are these lenses so expensive if they have to be so imperfect? So I just don't know why I should say yes to Canon. Because of the feel, because I want to add variety to my channel. Yes, I do, but I'm unable to bring Canon into the fold and tell you, because see, whenever I buy into a system, that is an implicit yes given to you guys. Like, why did I buy it if it's not good, right? So is it hate or is it a struggle? For me, getting into the Canon system has been a struggle. To not make it such a big struggle is Canon's job, not my job. I'm the one who's willing to pay the money. Canon has to do the work to sort of deserve that. And all of you who feel that I just unjustifiably hate on Canon, I'm not hating on you. The real feeling that I have is I feel bad. I feel as if people are sort of getting cheated. Yes, Canon has fantastic autofocus. That's not everything. I feel as if people are being taken on a ride by Canon, and which is why, although I have been wanting to get in the Canon, the only camera that makes a lot of sense from the Canon system is the R5 II. I don't know any other camera that makes sense. The people talked of the R7. It is so much autofocus problems, not highlighted to the likes of Jared Polin and that entire YouTube ecosystem who are always glorifying Canon. Not by them, but not so nonchalant, not so YouTubers who are sharing their experience on YouTube. They do talk about R7's inconsistencies when it comes to especially wildlife autofocus. So that's where I am. I mean, if you call this hating, then it is hating. But hating, it's a different thing. This is not hate. This is, I would say, disappointment. And I do paint my disappointment on this channel. I do talk about my disappointment. And if you feel heartbroken, if you feel offended because I've said about your camera, I mean, look, guys. I mean, there's a song. I'm a Nikon user. There's a song on Nikon, right? There's music. The people talking about Nikon, hating on Nikon every day. If I have it in me to handle that and probably be emotionally stronger, you should try that too. Let's say I'm a Canon hater. You become better. That's your job. That's your opportunity. Take it and just move on. But I'm really not hating on Canon. I'm waiting for Canon to really level up and become a worthy system for me personally to get into in 2025. Well, probably not this year, by next year. Let's see. I'm very curious to see what the Canon R6 III brings on the table. We'll all see. So subscribe to our channel. Even if you're a Canon shooter, subscribe to our channel. Follow me. Take my critical points on Canon, add your voice to it, and talk to Canon. Demand more. I'm going to see you soon with another one very soon.